The village spoke of it in a hush. An alien's final gift had turned a single human into a man with impossible wealth and two alien brides, and the ripple of that strange blessing had already begun to pull at the edges of everything Maya Rivers thought she knew about honor, family, and fate. Maya woke before dawn, when the world still smelled of wet stone and smoke. She moved through the low light of the cliffside house as if she were part of the shadows. A slim, lithe figure with hair braided in the old ways and eyes that watched like a predator and a poet at once. The village called her an elf because of the shape of her ears and the slow, careful power in her limbs. Outsiders called her a legend because she kept dragons. Two dragons leaned across the roof tiles like living sculptures. Ashen, older and patient, flexed a wing and let out a breath that warmed the courtyard. Ember, smaller and quick, paced with the nervous energy of a cub. They had lived with Maya longer than any pair of borrowed gods had lived with the cliffside people. Their scales bore the map of battles, and their smoke carried the tang of iron and seaweed. For all their threat, they were gentle with her. She was the only human the dragons allowed near their teeth. On the day the rumors reached her, Maya had a single goal: to trade some preserved saltfish for iron filings to repair a broken harness. The world beyond the valley was changing. Metal grew scarce because it had been taken in shipments, first by traders and then by strangers in ships that looked like empty moons. The strangers had come with bargains that sounded like salvation: medicine, lighter wood, seeds that promised higher yields. They had come with stories too of far stars and miracles. Everyone in the market wanted more of the miracle and less of the cost. The man with the two brides was not such a stranger. He wore the tired coat of a returning pilgrim and the eyes of someone who had seen too much and still could not name what he had lost. His fortune lay in chests hidden beneath the floorboards of his rented house, and his brides were said to be beautiful beings not born of the valley. People whispered they were not human at all. They sang with sounds that made crops tremble. They moved like wind over dry leaves. Maya's path crossed his in the square, where the old well cast a shadow like a promise. He was arguing with a merchant over the price of iron, voice small and steady, defending a price like it was an ethics code. Around him, the market curved away like a listening thing. Maya watched because she was always watching. She had learned, the hard way, that fortunes changed hands in small choices. A coin said the wrong thing. A look made a promise. A gift from the skies meant someone else paid the bill. She stepped forward when an angry boy tried to pickpocket the merchant's satchel. The boy's hand was quick. Maya's reflexes faster. A blur of motion, a jab of the wrist, and the boy sprawled on the cobbles. The merchant swore, the crowd gasped, and the man with the traveler's rich, tired eye caught Maya's wrists in a grip that was both firm and gentle. "Thank you," he said, the words like a secret. His voice carried the flavor of distant ports. He did not introduce himself. That was the second strange thing. Men of his means usually announced their names as if titles could anchor them. "You don't owe me anything," Maya said, pulling her hands free. She folded them beneath the warm leather of her sleeves. She never liked dangling debts. Perhaps not. He looked away then, toward the cliffs where the sea met sky, and something in his face made Maya feel the neat lines of her life warp. "But I owe this place a debt I can't yet explain. There are pieces of the world I have no right to hold. I came here to hide them, to protect them, to see if protection could change into peace." Ashen's growl trembled down the alley like a distant drum. The dragon had an old memory for danger. He did not need words to feel a threat. Maya's fingers drifted to the amulet at her throat for comfort. It was a simple iron ring threaded through leather, a talisman from a past she avoided naming. The man left then, his figure swallowed by the crowd, and the rumor seeds that had already lodged in the market found new soil in Maya's mind. An alien's final gift. Wealth beyond counting. Two brides of a species no one in the valley had met. A human whose destiny was altered by something from the stars. That night, as Ember curled against her ankle and Ashen watched like a winged sentinel, Maya couldn't sleep. She traced the map of the valley in her head, where the river took a sudden turn, where the old lighthouse still hummed in fog, where men went to trade secrets for coin. Her world had always been a map of small loyalties. The smith who owed her a favor, The healer who would barter for herbs, the boy who ran messages when roads were too dangerous. A single ripple, she thought, could become a tidal wave. She rode before dawn because dragons like first light and because danger, more often than not, preferred the shadows. Ashen bore her across ridges that had once been thought impossible. The wind was cold enough to sharpen a man's truth. Below them, the village became a necklace of fires. They found him the pilgrim on the edge of the cliffs, staring at the horizon where metal moths had once landed. The sea bled silver there, and the air hummed with a memory that made her teeth ache. He stood with two figures beside him, robes flowing like ink on water. Up close, they were beautiful in ways that were not quite human. The angle of their cheekbones, the cadence of their speech, the small, almost invisible shimmer that crawled along their skin when the light hit right. Maya did not step forward. She let Ashen lower her like a shadow and waited for the man to look up. He did, and his eyes were empty of the triumph she half expected. Instead, they held something like regret. They called it a gift, he said, voice bare to the bone. But some gifts come with terms that are not written. Some blessings are leases that never end. The taller of the two brides folded her hands and touched her lips as if testing a memory. Her voice, when it came, was both a bell and a wound. "We belong where we choose," she said, and the words were soft enough to crumble stone. Maya felt the cliff tilt under her as if the world had shifted its center by a hair. The village below seemed fragile and small, a paper lantern in a storm. The pilgrimess chests and the bride's and the alien's final gift, they would not be things she could set aside with a shrug. The dragons tensed. Ember's nostrils flared, sensing a future that tasted of iron and stars. "You have been given a fate," Maya said. Her voice surprised her because it was steady. "But fate can be met with a choice. Do you know what yours is?" He looked at her as if he had expected none of his burdens to be met with such bluntness. Then, something like a smile worn, honest, and weary crossed his face. "No," he said. "I do not." Behind him, the sea turned from gray to a bruised blue. Above them, a single wing of cloud drifted like an omen. Beyond the cliff and the pilings and the rows of thatched roofs lay a road that could take them toward bargains or chains. Maya felt the hum in her blood, the old call that had made her a guardian to two dragons and a watcher of thresholds. Whatever the pilgrim had been given, it had come ashore this day, and choices would have to be made. She did not yet know whose fate would break or bend or transform. She only knew that when the living world met gifts from beyond the sky, nothing remained the same for long. Ember shifted, and the cliff exhaled. The man with the brides folded his hands as if bracing for a verdict. Maya looked at the horizon and heard, for the first time, the distant rumble of something enormous waking. The morning sun poured over the cliffs like molten gold, turning the sea below into a mirror fractured with light. Maya's thoughts were tangled with questions she had no right to ask, yet she couldn't stop herself. Who were these brides? What did the alien's final gift truly mean? And why had it landed in the hands of a human whose very presence seemed ordinary, though she sensed a hidden depth? Ashen and Ember waited silently, their wings folded, their eyes sharp as knives. Dragons sensed more than humans. They felt tension, the pulse of destiny before it fully formed. And the air carried it, heavy and electric. Maya knew she was on the edge of something vast, something that could not be understood in the simple measures of coin or comfort. The human whose name she had yet to learn stood between the brides, eyes distant, fingers brushing the air as if he could feel threads of a universe unseen. The taller bride, whose skin shimmered like polished onyx, studied Maya carefully. The shorter one, whose hair fell in waves like molten copper, looked almost amused, yet wary. Their beauty was undeniable, but it was more than that. It was foreign, mesmerizing, alive in ways that made the chest tighten, like the breath of something you should not approach but could not resist. "You should not have come here," the taller bride said softly, her voice layered with authority and warmth. "Humans are fragile. Even the strongest falter before the weight of gifts meant for stars." Maya's fingers tightened on the amulet at her throat. "I have never faltered," she replied. Her voice was steady, but her heart beat in sync with Ashen's low rumble. And I do not intend to start now. Gifts change nothing if they go unguarded. The human's eyes flicked toward her. He tilted his head, curious, wary, and perhaps, for the first time, a little relieved. He had carried the weight of the alien's gift alone, a secret heavy enough to bend a soul. And yet here was Maya, a stranger, a watcher, yet a guardian all the same. Somehow, he trusted her presence immediately. "You do not understand," he said, voice low, almost a whisper. "These gifts, they are not simply wealth or beauty. They are bonds, chains if you fail, choices if you survive. And the world beyond this cliff is watching in ways humans cannot perceive." Maya's brow furrowed. Chains or gifts, they are only what you make of them. Her gaze swept across the cliffs, the village below, and finally rested on the horizon where the first ships of metal glinted like scattered stars. "But I see why you need dragons and watchers." The brides exchanged a look. There was tension in the air now, subtle but palpable, like the line between calm and storm. The shorter bride stepped forward, her voice gentle but firm. "You cannot shield them forever, human. Even guardians have limits." Her eyes flicked toward Maya, curious. "And you, elf, are not just a guardian of beasts. You are a keeper of thresholds. You will see what they cannot." Maya felt a chill despite the sun. There were thresholds in the world, invisible, powerful, and dangerous. She had crossed some and returned, carrying scars hidden beneath her calm exterior. Others she had only glimpsed, whispers in the wind that promised pain or revelation. Now, standing on the cliff with dragons at her side, she knew this day would mark a threshold she could not retreat from. Ashen shifted his massive bulk, wings flexing, sending a soft tremor through the stone. Ember circled the human's legs, curious and protective. The human flinched slightly, but did not move away. It was as though the dragons recognized some hidden alignment between them, all a connection that the alien's gift had seeded and now demanded to bloom. The human finally spoke, breaking the silence that had thickened like fog. "I have tried to understand the gift, tried to measure it, contain it, but it cannot be contained. It is not mine alone, and now I feel it pulling others in. It will reach beyond me if we do not act." His eyes, dark and haunted, met Maya's. I think you were meant to be here." Maya considered him. She had lived many lives in one hidden, watched, protected, guided, but she had never encountered a human so bound to destiny. His words carried weight, truth, and a strange vulnerability that made the dragon shift closer, protective. It was rare for humans to carry such depth without breaking under its pressure. Yet this one, he bore it like a fragile bridge, bending but not snapping. "You speak as if fate is a burden," Maya said. "Perhaps it is. Perhaps it is also opportunity. That choice is what separates the strong from the weak." She turned her gaze to the brides. "And you, if these gifts are meant to bind him, then you will either strengthen him or shatter him." The taller bride's gaze softened. "He is untested," she admitted. "And yet there is something about him. The alien chose well, though it is a choice that will demand everything." Maya's eyes narrowed. The alien's choice changed more than one life. It may change all of ours. The human studied the horizon again. "There is a ship," he said. "Not the aliens, but its descendants. They will come. Some to claim what I have been given, others to see if I can survive their tests. The brides, the wealth, even you, they will all be part of the reckoning." Maya felt Ember nuzzle her ankle, sensing the tension and bracing for what lay ahead. Ashen let out a low warning growl, a sound that resonated deep in the chest. The air was alive with the promise of something enormous approaching, a storm not of wind or rain but of destiny, alien and human, intertwined. "You will need more than dragons," Maya said, finally. "You will need allies, strategy, and a willingness to face what comes without faltering." The human nodded slowly. "I have never known courage alone," he admitted. "But perhaps I can learn from you." There was a faint, almost imperceptible smile on his lips. "And from your dragons." The brides did not speak, but their eyes followed every movement, every flutter of ash-colored scales, every tense shift in the human's posture. There was a recognition there, a silent acknowledgement that the threads of the alien's gift were tangled and delicate. and that the coming days would demand decisions none of them had yet imagined. Maya's heart thumped with anticipation, dread, and something almost like excitement. The cliffs, the village, the dragons, the human, the brides, all of them were on a collision course with fate, pulled together by forces unseen but undeniable. Every instinct she had honed over years whispered that nothing would remain unchanged once the first move was made. As the sun climbed higher, the horizon shimmered with distant shapes, ships and shadows, alien and strange. The wind carried a hint of ozone and salt. Ashen's growl deepened, and Ember let out a sharp warning screech. Maya tightened her grip on the amulet, knowing the first step into the unknown was about to be forced upon them all. The human turned to her one last time before they began their descent back toward the village. "Are you ready?" he asked, not as a question, but as a challenge. Maya's lips pressed into a thin line. "I've always been ready for the impossible," she said. "Let's see if fate agrees." And with that, the dragons lifted them into the sky, the cliffs shrinking below, the village tiny and fragile beneath them, and the horizon stretching wide with dangers, secrets, and the first whispers of what the alien's final gift would demand of them all. The winds over the cliffs were sharp and wild, whipping Maya's braids across her face as Ashen soared higher, wings cutting the air like blades. Ember darted around them, restless, her small body a blur of copper scales glinting in the sun. The human rode between them, tense but calm in a way that suggested he had learned to bend to forces far beyond ordinary human endurance. "You must understand," the taller bride said from her perch on the human's other side. "What you carry is not just wealth or companions. It is a legacy. The alien did not choose lightly. Its gift binds you to consequences unseen." Maya's eyes narrowed. "And what kind of consequences are we talking about? Attackers? Tests? The end of the world?" Her voice held dry humor, though the edge in her tone betrayed the weight of her concern. The shorter bride, copper-haired, tilted her head, her amber eyes flickering like molten metal. "All of that and more. The gift will call to those who understand its value, those who desire it. Some will see you as prey, others as a puzzle to manipulate. And the aliens who remain, they are not patient." The cliffs behind them receded rapidly. The valley below seemed insignificant, a patchwork of stone and smoke. The horizon stretched wide and strange, painted with clouds that shimmered unnaturally. Maya instinctively flexed her hands, feeling the amulet in her throat vibrate faintly. Something about the alien's final gift had already reached out, brushing against her own power in ways she did not yet understand. Ashen let out a deep, resonating roar that seemed to split the sky. The sound was a warning, a challenge, a declaration. Maya steadied herself, feeling the familiar thrum of his wings through her bones. Dragons were attuned to shifts in the invisible currents of energy, and Ashen's growl told her that something large was approaching, something that did not belong to the valley or the human world. The human spoke, his voice quiet but firm. "I've spent years hiding from what the alien left me. From its wealth, yes, but also from what came with the brides. There are powers in them, powers that I do not control, and gifts I barely understand. I thought I could contain it all, but now it seeks resolution." Maya looked at the brides. They were calm, almost statuesque, but their presence radiated tension. Their eyes held knowledge older than humanity, and every subtle motion, every glance, every tilt of the head hinted at abilities that could shape reality itself. She sensed the power they carried, not in their words, but in the air around them. It hummed, a silent pressure on the mind, the body, the world. Ember screeched suddenly, flying ahead, and the group froze. From the horizon, faint shapes appeared, ships unlike any Maya had ever seen, sleek and elongated, glinting with metallic surfaces that reflected the rising sun. They were not entirely human in design, and not entirely alien either. The lines were too clean, the angles too precise, the hum too rhythmic. "They've come," the taller bride whispered. "Not all for war. Some for observation, some to claim, and some to test." Maya felt a cold weight in her stomach. The alien's final gift, once a distant rumor, was now tangible. It demanded confrontation, judgment, and survival. She scanned the approaching ships, noting patterns and trajectories, instinctively calculating risk and reaction. She had survived battles before, yes, but never against forces that bent reality with unseen hands. The human's hands clenched. "We cannot fight them outright," he said. "Not yet. The wealth, the brides, even my own life are stakes in a game I barely understand. We must survive, and we must control what we can." Maya turned to him, eyes sharp. "Control what you can, but what about what you can't? Some things demand action before understanding. Others, before courage." She glanced at the brides. "They've been watching us, testing us. It's time we test back." The copper-haired bride stepped forward, wings faintly unfurling from her back in a motion almost imperceptible. Her gaze fixed on Maya. "You are more than you think," she said softly. "The alien's gift has touched you, whether you realize it or not. It has chosen keepers beyond its human recipient. You, elf. You are one of them." Maya's pulse quickened. The amulet at her throat pulsed stronger, almost painfully. She realized then that the alien's final gift was not simply wealth or brides. It was a conduit, a force that could spread, bond, or demand allegiance. And somehow, she had been pulled into its orbit. Ashen dove lower, heading toward a narrow pass between cliffs, and Ember flitted around the human, protective, nervous. The approaching ship split, sending a scouting vessel ahead of the rest. Its hum was deep, resonant, almost musical, but beneath it lurked menace. Maya spoke quickly, voice cutting the wind. "We need a plan. Speed alone won't save us. We need terrain, tactics, leverage. And if the aliens' brides are part of this, then we need their cooperation." The tall bride inclined her head. "I will lend what aid I can. But understand this, what is coming is not simple. It is a test of survival, willpower, and integrity. The gifts you see are only the surface. Beneath them lie trials that could destroy all of you if approached carelessly." The human's expression hardened. "Then we survive together. That is our only choice. I cannot do this alone anymore. And now, neither can any of us." Maya felt the wind shift, carrying a subtle vibration she had learned to read. The approaching fleet was closing faster than expected, moving as if they could sense the alien's gift radiating from its human bearer. Her mind raced through strategies, evade, confront, mislead, but the reality pressed down. The human, the brides, the dragons, and herself were all bound to the alien's final gift, and the choices they made now would define their fate. Ember screeched, diving between Maya and the human, and Ashen's wings flexed in anticipation. The first ship broke formation, descending toward them with an eerie grace. The human braced, hands gripping the reins, and whispered a word she did not recognize. The taller bride lifted a hand, palm out, and the air shimmered faintly around her. Maya felt the amulet at her throat pulse violently, and a spark of energy leapt from it to Ember, making her feathers glow. The battle, if it could be called that, had begun not with violence, but with a test. A puzzle laid before them by forces older than humanity, crafted by an alien whose final gift was more than treasure or beauty. It was a call to prove worth, courage, and resilience. Maya tightened her grip on the dragons, feeling every beat of their wings, every surge of wind. She looked at the human. "This is no longer just about gifts," she said. "It's about survival. And if we fail, it will take more than wealth or brides. It will take everything." The ships glinted in the sun, alien and merciless, moving closer with a quiet, unstoppable inevitability. The brides readied themselves. The human braced, and Maya felt the surge of something ancient awaken within her, the part of her trained to face impossible odds, to guard life, and to act when the world demanded a hero. And then the first contact began, subtle but unmistakable. A ripple through the air, a pulse that hinted at the power waiting to be unleashed, and the stark realization that the alien's final gift had set in motion events none of them could turn back. The wind tore across the cliffs like knives as Ashen spiraled higher, wings slicing through the currents, Ember darting in nervous arcs around them. Maya's heart pounded as the horizon grew crowded with the alien ships, their sleek metallic forms reflecting the sun in jagged shards. Each vessel moved with an intelligence that was unnerving, precise, and calculated, a predator's grace that made the scales of the dragons ripple with anticipation. The human gripped the reins of Ashen tightly, his knuckles white, but his jaw was set with a determination that bordered on obsession. "We have no choice but to face them," he said, voice low but resolute. "They're testing the gifts, testing me. And if I fail, the brides. Everyone." His gaze flicked to them. "Everyone suffers." The taller bride's hand moved almost imperceptibly, drawing intricate symbols in the air. The shimmer around her intensified, and Maya felt a vibration through the amulet at her throat. Power pulsed there, old, potent, and alive. She had never felt anything like it. Ember chirped in recognition, the copper-colored dragon's scales glowing faintly in the sunlight. Even Ashen's deep growl shifted in tone, aware that the air itself was becoming charged with energy. "They know the gift," the shorter bride said, her voice carrying a metallic resonance that made Maya's skin prickle. "They sense it. They will try to claim it. They will test your limits, human and ours." The human swallowed hard. "Then we meet the first test, together." His eyes scanned the ships. One detached from the formation, moving in a slow arc to cut them off. Maya felt her stomach tighten. These were not scouts. This was an ambush, a trial designed to measure courage, reflexes, and alignment with the alien's intent. Ashen banked sharply, diving toward a rocky outcrop, wings slicing the air. The lead ship mirrored their path, too precise to be coincidence. Ember darted forward, claws extended, and sparks of energy lanced from her body, striking the air with a crackling hum. The alien ship reacted instantly, emitting a pulse of light that made the cliffside shimmer. Maya held tight, feeling the vibrations travel through Ashen's body. "Brace yourself!" she shouted. "Whatever this is, we face it together." The human nodded. He raised a small device from the alien's gift, a compact metal cube that pulsed in rhythm with the amulet at Maya's throat. The taller bride's hand moved again, and a wave of energy rippled outward. It collided with the pulse from the ship, creating a dazzling flare of light that made the air taste metallic. The ground below the cliffs quaked. Rocks shifted. The sea roared as if responding to the disturbance. Ember screeched and darted around the cube's energy field. Sparks lanced from her scales, striking the air in arcs that seemed almost alive, dancing to a rhythm only the dragons and the brides could understand. Maya felt a thrill and a deep terror at once. The alien's final gift was proving to be far more than wealth or brides. It was a living power, a test that could reshape the world. The shorter bride stepped forward, eyes glowing faintly. "Focus, human. Control your fear. Let the gift guide you, but do not let it consume you." The human's hand shook as he activated the device fully. A wave of energy pulsed outward, colliding with the alien ship's own shield. The clash created a thunderous echo that rolled across the cliffs. Maya's ears rang, and even Ashen staggered slightly under the force. She saw the human falter, his strength tested to the limits. "Now," the taller bride shouted. She extended both arms, her symbols burning in the air. A tether of light shot from her palms, wrapping around the alien ship's pulse, anchoring it, redirecting its energy in a cascade of color and force. Ember mirrored her, wings glowing, diving toward the interference with controlled precision. Maya held tight to Ashen, feeling the surge through every fiber of her body. She realized that this was more than a battle. It was a synchronization of all their wills, the human, the brides, and the dragons, against a force that was both alien and intelligent. Their connection, forged by the alien's final gift, was a delicate balance, and any misstep could shatter it. The alien ship faltered. A bright flare signaled the first crack in its defenses. The human exhaled sharply, focus renewed, and activated another pulse. The combined power of the dragons, the brides, and the human surged in perfect resonance. Energy lanced outward in a ribbon of light that struck the alien vessel. Sparks danced in the sky like fireworks. And then, silence. The ship spun away, retreating into the horizon, leaving only the faint hum of energy in the air. Maya's chest heaved, and Ember landed heavily on Ashen's back, panting, scales dimming from their temporary glow. The human slumped slightly, exhausted but alive. The brides floated beside him, their energy dissipating, faces calm but alert. Maya took a deep breath. "That was just the beginning," she said, voice low. Her eyes scanned the horizon. "They'll return, and next time, it won't be just a test." The human nodded. "I know, and next time we must be ready. The alien's final gift. It demands more than we imagined. It demands everything." The taller bride looked at Maya, a rare softness in her eyes. "You have proven yourself today, elf. But the real trial is only starting. The gift is alive, and it will guide us. Or consume us." Maya clenched her fists around the reins. "Then we face it. Together. Whatever comes, we survive." Ashen roared, a sound that echoed across the cliffs and into the distant valley. Ember screeched in agreement, wings snapping as if marking the sky. The human took a deep breath, preparing for what lay ahead, and the brides readied themselves, elegant and deadly. The alien's final gift had awakened, and its challenges were only beginning. Every choice, every pulse of energy, every decision would shape their fate, and the fate of the human world itself. Maya looked to the horizon, where more ships would inevitably appear, and whispered, almost to herself, "We will not fall. Not today. Not ever." The dragons stirred beneath her. The brides glimmered with latent power, and the human tightened his grip on the device. Together, they would face the storm the alien had set in motion. And for the first time, Maya understood that this was no longer just about survival. It was about mastering a force that could change everything. Dawn broke over the cliffs, pale and trembling, as if the world itself feared what was about to unfold. Maya rode Ashen with a tension that gripped every muscle. Ember darted around them like a living spark. Below, the valley was quiet, deceptively serene. Above, the sky shimmered with ripples of alien energy, residual echoes of the trials they had survived. The human stood at the cliff's edge, device in hand, eyes fixed on the horizon where the alien vessels now formed a vast, silent armada. The brides hovered near him, their energy radiating in waves that bent light and shadow alike. The taller bride's gaze was steady, commanding, while the copper-haired one's amber eyes glimmered with curiosity and wariness. "The final trial begins," the taller bride said softly. The alien's gift was never just wealth or beauty. It was a crucible, a force meant to reveal true potential, to test alignment, courage, and resolve. And now, you face the reckoning. Maya felt the pulse in her amulet flare violently, almost painfully. The alien's final gift surged outward, connecting them all, the human, the brides, the dragons, and herself. Every heartbeat carried weight. Every breath became a thread, woven into something far greater than the cliffs, the village, or even the human world. The human exhaled sharply, voice firm. "We face it together. Whatever comes, we are united. The gift has chosen us. Not just for survival, but for mastery." Suddenly, the armada shifted, moving as one, closing in with deliberate precision. Light beams lanced down, striking the cliffs with energy that vibrated through rock, stone, and bone. Ashen roared, wings flaring to deflect the worst of the pulses, while Ember zipped through the air, sending arcs of her own energy to counter the alien waves. Maya felt a surge within herself, a force she could no longer ignore. The amulet burned hot, and she realized the alien's gift had touched her deeply. It was not just the human who had been changed. She had become part of the gift, a conduit of power and protection. Her hands glowed faintly, energy rippling across her skin as she extended them toward the incoming assault. The taller bride joined her, hands raised, symbols blazing in the air. A tether of shimmering light connected them, weaving through the dragons and the human, creating a field of energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. The alien vessel struck again, but this time, the field absorbed the impact, rippling outward, sending sparks and shockwaves across the cliffs. The shorter bride moved beside the human, her presence a stabilizing force. Energy lanced from her, interacting with the human's device, which now pulsed in perfect harmony with the amulet and the dragons. Maya realized in awe that the alien's final gift had become a living network of power, connecting all of them. Its purpose was not destruction, it was awakening. The vessels began to falter. Light pulses from the human's device, combined with the bride's energy and the dragon's raw power, tore through the Armada's formation. One ship collapsed in a burst of brilliance, then another. The remaining vessels retreated slowly, as if acknowledging that the trial had been met and survived. Silence settled. The cliffs trembled slightly as residual energy faded. Maya exhaled, limbs trembling from exertion and adrenaline. Ember landed beside her, wings folding in exhaustion, while Ashen's massive shadow shifted protectively over them. The human lowered the device, sweat glistening on his brow, yet a fierce smile broke through. "We did it," he said quietly. "The gift. It's fully revealed now. It was never just for me. It was for all of us." The brides smiled faintly, their glow dinning to a soft radiance. "You have proven your worth, human," the taller bride said. "And yours, Alf. Together, you have aligned the gift's power with choice, courage, and unity." The alien's final act was not to grant wealth or brides. It was to test the heart, the mind, and the soul. Maya looked at the human, then the dragons, then the brides, and felt a strange mixture of relief, awe, and responsibility. The alien's final gift had changed everything. It had revealed hidden potential, forged unbreakable bonds, and tested their courage in ways none could have imagined. The copper-haired bride stepped closer, voice soft. "This is your moment. You have mastered the gift, but remember, it is alive. It will always reach outward, seeking alignment. You must honor it, respect it, and use it wisely." The human nodded solemnly. "We will, together." Maya glanced at the horizon one last time, the sun breaking fully over the cliffs. The alien armada was gone, but the echoes of its tests remained a permanent reminder of what they had endured and achieved. The dragons stirred, the bride's energy shimmered, and a new dawn of possibility stretched before them. Ashen lowered his head to Maya's shoulder, Ember nuzzled against the human side, and for a moment, everything was still perfect in its fragile harmony. Maya exhaled, a quiet, steadying breath. "Then let's begin," she said. "The world has changed. And so have we." The human smiled, hope shining in his eyes. "And whatever comes next, we face it together." The brides nodded. Together. The cliffs were silent now, but the air still pulsed faintly with the alien's energy, a promise, a challenge, and a gift fully understood. If you love this story, subscribe now and follow for more epic HFY adventures. Don't miss the next tale that will take you beyond the stars.